Welcome to GenderMeowster Podcast Network. Genderful is a talk show featuring non-binary and trans folks discussing various topics and special interests. We kindly remind our listeners that no person is a monolith of identities. All opinions are the speaker's own. This show airs live on Twitch at twitch.tv/GenderMeowster, and VODs with show notes can also be found on YouTube. We also wanted to say today on the live recording, Happy Indigenous Peoples Day and Happy National Coming Out Day. So everyone, my name is GenderMeowster. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm your host for today, and I will let my guests introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Mori. I'm a Mexican Indigenous streamer. I'm also Two-Spirit. And I have two dogs, or not two dogs, planning on getting two dogs. We were just talking about getting my second one, getting ahead of myself. I have a mini schnauzer, his name's Nigel, and then I have a little baby hedgehog, her name's Basil. But yeah, I mostly stream. I work at home, so when I'm not working, I'm doing my other hobbies, which is mainly like gardening, cooking, and video games that I don't really play on stream. Because you got to separate them sometimes, otherwise they don't end up being as fun.
It's true. Yeah, there are. Yeah. I definitely have games that I don't play on stream and games that I do. I'm curious what you use to decide which ones you'll stream and which ones you won't. Just for funsies.
Yeah, I don't know. There isn't really like criteria. I think it's just like I stream the games that I notice I have more internal dialogue with. Like, for example, like Stardew Valley is really fun for me to stream because I'm usually talking through with myself with like all of the different little tasks and projects I want to do in my farm, or like, you know, there's just like an endless list of tasks to complete for coins and stuff. So that one's a good one for me to play on stream. Or like Apex too, because I get aggressive. So sometimes I like to not talk mean, but you know, get a little rough.
Get sassy.
Yeah, but like with like Sims, I don't usually play that because that's a game that I usually zone out in really easily. So I'll forget to talk if I play that on stream. I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, I think it's most like simulation games. I try not to really play on stream because those are the ones where I really like zone in, kind of like lose track of time.
We're playing the Why Are the Links Broken game.
Yeah.
In the chat. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I put the period in the wrong place. Wow, that's such a small detail. So before we went live, we also talked about neuro wonderfulness and how we might both be ADHD.
Prep rituals are very similar.
Well, the thing that I forgot to mention to you before stream, which I feel comfortable sharing on stream, is if there's any stims or anything that you need to do to like be comfortable and grounded, please feel free to do that. I got my little twirly guy going on.
I got my cube.
Cool. So yeah, just so that you and the audience knows, like all of that is totally acceptable and welcome behavior. I want people to feel comfortable during their visit and not like they have to mask and be perfect and do it right or something. So
yeah, I tend to fiddle my hands a lot or like try to keep my body busy during these kinds of things. So this is definitely really handy because it has a bunch of different little on it.
I love fidget cubes. It's great. For those listening later, Mori held up a fidget cube. I have a rainbow one somewhere. It used to be in my Dungeons and Dragons kit.
Is it one of those tie-dye ones? Because I was so close to getting that one.
Oh, it's like striped rainbow, like full on rainbow cube. But I think it's downstairs somewhere, so I won't fetch it right now. But they're pretty fun. I love fidgets.
Yeah, they're great.
They should add that as a question. What's your favorite fidget? Show us your favorite fidget.
Yeah. This is my favorite fidget, for sure.
Well, to sort of jump into things, so you identify as Two-Spirit, and one of the cool things that happened as we were setting up is you realize the Two-Spirit tag exists now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I swear every time that I go to stream and I put my tags in, I like whatever I typed in before wasn't popping up anything for Two Spirit. Um, and then you told me it's like spelt out entirely and it has a dash in between it. So that's, I don't think I ever typed that in probably.
Yeah,
Because
two
otherwise I feel
hyphen
like I would have
spirit.
known. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
We
So
actually
yeah, I learned that today.
my friends and I have an ongoing link tree. I can't remember the command for it right now, but I bet I can dig it out. Um, for all of the feature requests in Twitch that we want, and that was on there for a while. So there's the link tree in chat. It's noangel13 with underscores between the things. I'll put that in the resources in the show notes too. I don't always talk about Twitch stuff, but since we're both streamers, I thought, I'd throw some of that in too.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are just Twitch feature requests that we have. So, for example, we've got pronouns native in chat, and that request has been out there since 2019. So that's been a pretty long.
Yeah.
It's a feature request people have wanted for a long time. There's the hate raid bot analysis. There's increasing these subscriptions split to 70%. So if you have a Twitch account, you can upvote any of these for free, no money. You just log into Twitch and upvote them. It's a great way to support all of these content creators who need help. Stop censoring trans in chat, increasing the number of tags. I spend so many tags describing my identities. It's like I can't even tell you about the game, or if it's my first time, because it's like so I'm spending it all on identity stuff. Make identity and accessibility tags permanent. Add neopronouns and multi-pronoun tags. Make umbrella tags like LGBTQIA automatic. Epilepsy warning auto tag. That would be great. Like if the
Yeah.
game, if you know the
Yeah.
game has epileptic flashy stuff or whatever, like just automatically include that. That'd be pretty cool. Adding trans man and trans woman tags and adding a spectrum tag. So those are the feature requests on there. They're
Nice.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of conversations about adding like different varieties of like sobriety tags too.
Hmm.
Which is something like I would like to see too because I've been alcohol free for over a year now. And it's quite often that you see like alcohol like really influenced in people's streams and stuff, and there's
Mm-hmm.
really no warning for that when you go into them, and um, sometimes that environment's a little overwhelming without knowing what you're going into.
I love the idea of that being a thing, like
Yeah,
a sober tag. Do you know if there is a feature request in for that?
not that I've seen or can recall right now.
Okay, well that'll be fun for me to research after stream.
Yeah, yeah, and I can't remember if there's like even like a basic like sober tag or not either. I think so because I feel like I would have used it by now.
Yeah, well that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I also am not one who partakes in the alcohols, so
Yeah, I
I
have a
wish
long history with it. I'm done with it.
I wish there was tone markers like that you could say wholesome or like spooky or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. That would be cool too.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that is an entire stream all by itself. And that's not today's stream, so I'll make some notes and think about that for another time.
Yeah.
Um, but you mentioned, so you joined the Discord server, which was so awesome, and you wrote an intro, which was super cool too. I noticed that you wrote that you absolutely love talking about astrology, death, and other dimensional beings. And so I'm curious, what of
Yeah.
those concepts are particularly fascinating to you today? Is there anything about it on your mind? Did you like draw the death card
Yeah.
in tarot this morning? Like what's going on? Tell me all about
Yeah.
it.
I think for like maybe the past 4 years, um, really like since right after high school, honestly, I started dipping my toes into um like alternative spirituality. At first, like I was looking into witchcraft because that was kind of like the mainstream thing at the time. So it was like a lot of like pagan and Wiccan stuff I was learning about, and that kind of introduced me to like astrology and tarot and all that stuff. And astrology really stuck with me because um, it's just like space. Like some like people made sense out of space, and I thought that was really fascinating. Um, and then I guess death and other dimensional beings kind of tie into that too, with astrology and then just alternative spirituality practices. Um, because I'm an ex-Christian, I grew up Christian with my family, but recently got debaptized about a year or two ago. So um, I'm not atheist. I've always had like a feeling of like not necessarily a higher power, but there's definitely beings that we can't see with our three-dimensional perspectives. Um, so doing a lot of research on that has been really fun and interesting for me, to kind of, I don't know, find a different kind of meaning in the world than what I was taught for the most of my life.
I love that so
Oh, I got a
much.
question. I got a
We're
question.
You did, yeah. We're actually we're similar on some of those journeys that you mentioned,
Yeah,
which is so fun. I also, well, I grew up like no particular religion. And then my great rebellion in my teens was to go to Christian youth group because I had friends who were, and I wanted to be in the in crowd. So then I was Christian for like a decade. Then I
yeah,
got then I got real gay. Happy National
yep,
Coming Out Day, and came out in college. And all the
nice.
Christians I was running around with, at least half of them were really knocked down. I was in like two groups.
Yeah.
One was not cool. One was. They actually got the off-campus advisors kicked off of campus for a year because of how badly they handled the whole situation.
Oh my
It was a
gosh.
whole thing. Like the campus chaplain got involved, like on my side,
Oh,
and like it was a
wow.
time. TM.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my
Like
gosh.
people still talk about it a
Yeah.
decade later on
Wow.
campus.
Imagine being like memorialized that way. Like
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I think I separated myself a little bit earlier. I think I was maybe like 12, 13. Um, and I'm not even sure what like made me like flip the switch, but I think it was just like entering a new environment because I went to an entirely different city for high school.
Hmm.
So like I met like a bunch of different kinds of people that just like introduced me to a bunch of different things. So my curiosity broadened really quickly.
I love that.
Yeah,
Well, for me, the big sort of changing point or turning point was I was in Christian seminary. I found the gayest one I could find in Berkeley, California, which is like
nice.
super like of the
Yeah,
50 people in the incoming class, 48 of us were LGBTQ.
nice.
Like almost all of us were some flavor of gay or trans or both. And
Love that.
I was stealth mode trans. I didn't realize I was trans yet,
Yeah, yeah.
um but I was very lesbian at the time. So
Hmm.
um I'm still somewhere between lesbian and pansexual. It gets weird when your gender
Yeah.
is like all the genders because then it's like,
Hmm.
am I still a lesbian if I'm all the
Yeah,
genders?
yeah.
Face strokey question marks go here.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, but I was in Christian history class and they were
Nice.
talking about colonizers.
Yeah.
Fuck the colonizers. And I was just listening to the colonization of the Irish and how the Christians came to Ireland. And when St. Patrick, I put air quotes, St. Patrick drove out the snakes, more air quotes, that was the Christians murdering indigenous Irish people with their indigenous Irish practices, which is
Mhm.
like my background. I'm not all Irish, but I'm part Irish. And so,
Yeah,
like, my
yeah.
indigenous ancestors were getting,
Mhm.
you know, murdered and all the
Yeah,
terrible things.
yeah.
And then people celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
and that's so odd that you say that actually, because my stepmom's mom is like full Irish and
Hmm.
she's full Irish pride, but in that way, in the colonist
Yeah,
way.
it's
And it always
gross.
rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. So, similar to why I don't celebrate Columbus Day, I also don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day because they're
Yeah.
both colonizer holidays that appropriates indigenous traditions,
Yep.
earth-centered spirituality traditions,
Oh yeah.
like pagan, Wiccan, other, you know, indigenous earth-centered practices. So,
Yeah.
anyways, long story longer. That's
Yeah.
that was the moment that I was like, I'm done with this. But
Yeah.
it was awkward changing religions in Christian seminary, getting a
Mhm.
degree that I'm paying money for.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that because like I got baptized and went to like Bible school and everything and got my first communion and all that. And then I just stopped going to church at like the age of 12. Um, and then later found out that I could get debaptized. And so I did that. And so now I'm just fully free.
I've never heard of getting debaptized. Can you tell us more about that? And I will get to the question
Yeah,
that T Sugar Salt asked in a couple minutes, but
yeah,
I'm so curious about this.
yeah. So with deep baptism, I actually have kind of a mentor figure in my life. He's what's it called? What's like the top hierarchy name for like high priest? That's what he is. He's a high priest, and he had a similar childhood with me, and he made it known to me that you can um, like create a ritual like custom to you to get debaptized and just um, kind of just like rid yourself of like those like binds that you made that you weren't like actually consenting to when you were a child. So the debaptism process that I created for myself, uh, I basically just took like palm leaves, the palm leaves you get at church. I forget for what event,
Yeah,
but
Palm
I got
Sunday. Yeah.
yeah, I got some of those, made a cross out of it, and just burned it, and just like had like intentional thoughts throughout the whole thing, and like just making sure like I knew in myself that I wasn't connected to that spirituality anymore. I haven't been for years, and I'm not committed to it. And this is just kind of like shutting the door for
Mm-hmm.
me and
Yeah.
finalizing it. Make sure like there are no like ancestral ties or anything left on me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can make the ritual what you want it. Make the symbol that you want to destroy or get rid of, or just like symbolize like getting rid of um, kind of that contract. You make it your own, which is really nice because I thought it could have been like a whole thing where you maybe have to like go back to the church and
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
like something creepy like that, but
Yeah.
no, you can just like straight up do it.
Well, everyone in chat is a fan.
So if any of y'all have something like that going on in your life, like go ahead and like do it. Burn something that symbolizes that past and just get rid of that history.
I love that. That's one of the beautiful things about earth-centered spirituality is like you are your own spiritual authority in
Yeah,
community, and so you get to decide like, do I or do I not want this? What do I want my ritual to look like? And you get to make your own meaning.
yeah,
So thank you for
yeah,
sharing that
yeah,
beautiful ritual with us. That's really
yeah, of
cool.
course.
So T Sugar Salt's question is, how do you approach tarot philosophically?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Because I know there's like a big discussion about like the rule of three and like witchcraft specifically when you're talking about tarot, or even just like with like spell work and stuff.
Hmm.
There's like the thought process that whatever you put out into the world, you receive threefold. Um, but I don't necessarily abide by that because that is more of a um, Wiccan pagan concept, and I don't necessarily identify with that. I'm a big believer in karma, and if karma is just in a situation, you're just acting as a tool, and
Mm-hmm.
tarot cards are also a tool that'll help you with that process. So that's how I see it. I do understand the rule of three though, because um, especially when you're doing kind of like dark magic or black magic and you don't know what you're doing, that can happen to you.
Yeah, what you put out can come back to you threefold. Yeah.
Mess with the wrong spirits accidentally, you can get in trouble.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, to pivot a little bit, the next couple questions I have are sort of about your your youth, if you will. What was it like growing up without queer language? And when and from which sources did you learn queer language?
Yeah. I kind of touched on it previously about like switching schools from like or going to a different like school in a different city.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of like the big introductions to like gender language for me. Because I was still really young, and the high school I went to was middle school through high school. Um, so there was a lot of confused kids in that high school, and like all of us were trying to figure out what we are, who we are, and where we want to be in the world and stuff. And I met a lot of different kinds of people there, and I made a lot of different kinds of friends there, and like a majority of them were queer and trans. So I learned a lot from them, and those were kind of my first conversations and like introductions to like transgender culture, queer culture, and like just like the whole spectrum of queerness out there. Because when I was a kid, I wouldn't say I was necessarily sheltered, but neither of my parents did not have any queer language in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They're both millennials that grew up in a small town, so um, exposure wasn't that accessible to colorful people,
Yeah.
alphabet
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Well, peers, having a peer group, having you know, people in your life like that are, it's really a big, it makes a huge difference. That's part of why, like, for example, our little Discord server is important to me, at least. It's like
Yeah.
we spend hours upkeeping it and making it awesome every week, on top of moderating it and engaging in it,
Yeah.
because we want that space, especially with pandemic and everything that happened and everyone being home. I was just sitting here imagining, like, imagine you're 18, you just went to college, you just started discovering you're like queer as hell, and then you have to
Yeah.
go back to live with your parents. What do you do? Like, the server is one of my responses to what do you do, is like, come hang out
Yeah.
with us online
Yeah.
in the privacy of your own home. Like,
Yeah.
when you can't go to the student union, you can't go to the whatever, like, come, here we are, you found us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be
Definitely.
alone. It's dangerous,
Yeah.
don't go alone. We
Yeah,
love you.
yeah. And I definitely found a community like that, like going into high school, which was so great because I honestly wouldn't have gotten through high school without them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really fortunate to have found like an even bigger community now as an adult and like meet so many people that have like similar experiences as me. It's a really good feeling after kind of being starved for like a decade, like your first decade of
Mm-hmm.
like existing. Yeah.
Is there a particular, like, friend that came out that their story really resonated with you, or like, how did you sort of stumble into the two spirit identity or piece,
Yeah.
like?
I think I had like one friend in high school who later came out as transgender like in our like senior year of high school. Um and I think I knew previous um about like transgender culture and um just like how someone would transition and like how like someone would go through that kind of journey and like I he was like really open um with his experience too. He would talk to me a lot about like his feelings and like what um questions he was like asking himself and like um just like the whole whirlwind of like identity crises you have during that kind of journey at such a young age too.
Mm-hmm.
Um so he was definitely um like a big influence into um just like educating me on like the things that I didn't know already. Um and then I don't even think like I started questioning myself being trans until after graduation, honestly. Um, I think it was just because of like the pressure of fitting in and like being as normal as you can be in high school, like really got to me. So once I got out of that, it was really easy for me to just like step back and check in with myself and like ask those big questions for myself.
Yeah. um so I'm curious. This is one of the questions that we discussed earlier today, What would you like to say to folks about discovering their Indigenous heritage as adults? Because not
Yeah.
everyone figures this stuff out when they're a youth.
Yeah. I found out a year ago that I had Indigenous roots, and only because I just asked my grandma one day, um, because I learned enough about um, kind of the spectrum of like Indigenous identities, and that there isn't like obviously one way to be Indigenous. Um, and I just like I never know. Like, my family never talked about it. We just all knew we were Mexican. So I just asked my grandma one day, just to see if she knew, and um, she did know, and then she ended up sending me like a screenshot of like a map of like the it's like exact location of where like our tribes came from, and I'm like, why isn't this talked about? Like I could have known this so much sooner.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, honestly, like just ask questions. Like if you have like elders in your life still, just ask them because you really never know. Um, and if you don't, just do as much research as you can, like whatever's available. Like I know there's very limited knowledge on the internet just because of colonization and white people, but
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a lot even from like just like YouTube documentaries, or I've even stumbled across like really like old like 50s, 40s films about indigenous cultures and stuff. So um the knowledge is out there. You just got to kind of get creative with finding it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a dear friend who's here in the chat actually helping out, who as a white person has tried to honor the indigenous people of their local land by learning their language and
Nice.
trying to like keep it alive by learning it
Yeah.
and engaging with that process.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think it's cool and important to keep those alive because
Yeah.
the people are here. We're
Yeah.
all still here,
Yeah. It's oral
and
history. It's important.
absolutely, yeah, it's very cool stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen not so much in the United States, but at least in Canada, I've seen signs that are written in Indigenous languages that tell you the name of the place, and so at least learning enough of the language that we can read the signs for those of us who are not either not Indigenous or not that particular tribe, right? Because
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
language varies wildly across all the states in the country and the
Yeah.
world. So
Yeah. That's cool.
anyway,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
all
have something similar from where I live, Minnesota. At least in the cities, they're trying to incorporate more of Dakota language into like street signs and like our lakes and stuff. Like there's a big lake by my house that they um returned its original name to because it was renamed after I don't forget what his first name is. He was like a corporal or something, Calhoun. That's what the lake was named after. So there was like a whole big petition and stuff to return its um, Dakota name back to it, and it worked. And now it's kind of spreading all over the place. So now all the names are kind of being restored for like all the natural landscapes here, and it's really nice to see.
that's amazing, and I
Yeah,
fully support it.
yeah, that's great.
Mirami in the chat mentions I learned a ton about the people of the area by taking language classes as well, partly because it was taught by elders, which was amazing.
That's awesome. I
Nice.
love that.
It's just like you learn from your grandmother, your own elder. And
Yep.
my grandmother has a ton of genealogy, but like, it's like if we don't ask for it, she's not gonna like force feed it to us.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what like my grandma's like too. Like everything's just so hush hush
Yeah.
for what reason?
Well, luckily we have the opportunity to talk to our elders and get the
Yeah.
history. It's so cool. Well, I do have a follow up question for the tarot from earlier from T Sugar Salt. To clarify, who or what do you consider yourself to be talking to with tarot, or is it something else to you?
Yeah, I it's kind of fluid with tarot for me. Sometimes I just um welcome like an energy into like the deck that I'm working with. Sometimes I do use it for divination. I am planning on using tarot to hopefully reach out to my grandpa, who I suspect to be roaming around my house because I caught an orb on camera the other day. Um, and my first introduction with my tarot deck, um, I asked my deck what kind of lessons and like energy it would be bringing to me, and it said like a masculine paternal figure. So things are adding up. So I am planning to use a tarot deck in that way, but usually I just open my box, hold my tarot, and just like ask it for an energy to work with, and just kind of get an answer. Like I just ask questions to my tarot and then get results out of it from like the cards that I pull. Um, I'm still pretty new though. I still have a lot to learn. I am taking a class for tarot reading.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. One Indigenous practice that any person could engage in, no matter what your racial heritage, is connecting with ancestors, because everyone has ancestors, right?
Yep.
And so I love that you're talking about working with your possible grandfather, some sort of paternal masculine energy.
Yeah. I forgot
And
to mention earlier
go
too
ahead.
that
Yeah.
I am growing his favorite flowers in my yard right now. So I feel like he came over to go see them.
That's so nice. I love that you're honoring your ancestors in that way.
Yeah, try to, because he died before I was born. He died in 94, and I was born in 98, and I've always talked to like my partner and my grandma, um, his ex-wife, that I've always wanted to meet him just because of like all the stories that I've heard about him, and I feel like we would have gotten along really well. So really hoping that my inklings are correct and that the spirit lingering around my house is my grandpa and hopefully not something else.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many cool like things to discover. For me personally, when I work with ancestors, and I mean this is so topical since we have Samhain coming up at the end of the month too. It's important to work with your bright, wise, and well ones.
Yep.
You know, you don't want the ones that have unhealed trauma that haven't done
No.
the work.
Yeah.
You want the bright, wise, and well ones. Not all of our beloved dead are equally healthy for
No.
us to engage with.
Nope. And that's why I haven't reached out to all of them.
Well, and there's also like incredible work that can be done, like healing that family trauma too,
Yeah.
through ritual, through meditation, through trance work.
Yeah.
Anyway, you said you like talking about spirituality, so here I'm bringing it. I'm
Yeah.
bringing my
Yeah.
A
No, I love
game.
it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. No, and just like I'm even adding on to what you just said too, just like even like existing as like who I am today is also like cutting a lot of generational curses and
Mm.
um patterns and stuff. Um, I would like to think so because I was always pretty made out to be like the black sheep
Mm-hmm.
stereotype. So I'm just doing my best.
I think you're doing great. I'm so thrilled
Thanks.
that you're here today. Also, for
Thank
anyone
you.
who's listening to this later, Mori has these really great kitty ears going on their
Ah,
headset,
yes.
and it's a really good look.
They change colors. I don't know if you can tell.
It's sort of a green blue situation going on.
Yeah. They usually fade like into rainbow, but sometimes they're a little too bright to even notice.
I think they're really fun.
Yeah, they're pretty cute. Cat ears was the only reason why I bought them.
That's a really good reason to buy
Right?
headphones.
Yeah.
Um, okay. How has your relationship to gender evolved over time? So we sort of talked about coming out, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's National Coming Out Day. And
Yeah.
at least for me, what I've learned over the last handful of decades is you don't ever just come out one time.
No.
It's sort of an ongoing thing, and my identity and my relationship to both gender and sexuality changes over time.
Hmm.
Turns out, Like, it's not like I just came out as lesbian once and then I was done. Like, there was all this other
No.
stuff that I went through. And so I would love to hear about your evolution, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I mentioned before, like I didn't really start questioning myself internally until like after high school. And I think when I first did kind of like those introspecting, just kind of like questionnaires, um, I think I mostly identified with like non-binary at first because that's like the language I was exposed to. So, um, I identified as non-binary for maybe like 2, 3 years. And then, I mean, like during that time too, I was constantly questioning myself to verify that I still felt that way and like I wasn't pretending. Um, all that good internal gaslighting stuff going on. But as I kept on just like educating myself on like gender terminology, I started maybe leaning a little bit towards like gender fluid, gender queer identity. Um, and then once I started my reconnecting journey with my indigenous roots, I found out about two-spirit identity, and that just like rang a bell for me. Like that felt like the perfect shoe size for me because um, I think I never felt without like a feminine or masculine energy in my life, and then I never felt like I was in between either. Um, so now, like today, I think I would describe my two-spirit identity as having equal feminine and masculine energies, but still healing my feminine energy from like my past and the trauma that came from um, growing up AFAB and all that stuff. So I think that's about the gist of like my general gender journey. I just started like diving deeper and deeper into like queer communities and just like exposing myself more and more to
Mm-hmm.
the education and just being open to it. Because the questions kept on coming for myself.
As a only slightly related side note, have you ever heard of Compass Rose Productions?
I don't think so, no.
So Scotty is one of the folks over there. It's a Twitch channel, um, and they are Indigenous tabletop role playing game streamer channel. So you show up, and it's a bunch of Indigenous people playing tabletop games.
Nice.
And Scotty was actually on the show. I forget the episode number now. It was a while back. Maybe half the episodes ago.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the teens, I think we had Scott on to talk about
Yeah.
being two-spirit. And so we talked about being two-spirit and about tabletop games.
Nice.
And if you're looking for some more Indigenous content from folks
Yeah.
who, some of them are discovering their identities, their Indigenous identities now as adults, and some of them have sort of known for a while.
Yeah.
They're a fun channel to go watch and support, and it's very like everyone's really kind there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's super nice. Like I have a feeling Scotty's mom isn't here because she would have chimed in by now if she was, but
Yeah.
she's often in the Twitch chat hanging out for this.
Yeah.
Um,
Cute.
and so it's fun to have the camaraderie.
Yeah, I've been definitely meaning to dip my toes into like the online tabletop communities because I played D&D a handful of times in real life with some of my friends, but it was always really casual and like we never finished a campaign or anything. But I would like to commit like fully to a campaign
Yeah.
because
Well,
it is really fun. I miss doing it.
they do wonderful streams. Incan Stories, who's here in the chat, has also been on many of their streams,
Nice.
and they do all kinds of like fundraisers and things. Actually, won
Nice.
dice from them for one of their giveaways.
Nice.
But like to enter the giveaway, you had to donate to any one of these like 11 different nonprofits. That
Nice.
some of them are about
Nice.
gender, some of them are about different Indigenous based things. But it was very cool.
Yeah.
And Incan Stories just asked about, do you know about Kiting Crow? I mentioned to you this would probably come up today. So
I've heard about it. I don't think I know like the full like theme or like concept.
yeah. Well, that's okay. I'm happy to tell you a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Kiting
I
Crow
love the name.
is a tabletop game made by Indigenous people who are Indigenous to Turtle Island, for everyone to play. They just request that
Nice.
you sort of respect the setting. So it's an
Yeah.
alternate timeline, in sort of Turtle Island, known to colonizers as North America, where the colonizers never showed up, and Indigenous people
Ooh,
like
just went on. Yeah.
advanced society, and so it's
Wow.
got sort of cyberpunk futuristic tech stuff going on, but it's
Nice.
all super like
Yeah.
indigenous. And so like there's
Yeah.
like Path of the Owl, Path of the Crow, Path of the Fox, like
Nice.
those are the like classes or what have you.
Yeah.
So it funded on Kickstarter in 45 minutes. It made over $1 million on
Oh
Kickstarter,
my God.
and they just dropped 2 trailers on YouTube today, as when this recording is live.
Oh,
And the full game is available next month in November. So that's Coyote and
yeah.
Crow. I think it might even
Yeah.
be coyoteandcrow.com. I'm not sure. I'd have to go look it up. But yeah, it's very cool stuff.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking into that for sure.
So
That's so cool.
I
Yeah, that
would love
sounds
to
so
play it.
cool.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna get it. That sounds so fun.
I totally like backed them on Kickstarter and was like
Hmm.
excited pause.
That's so
Oh.
awesome too. 45 minutes. Oh my,
Yeah.
that's wow. Yeah.
So
A
yes,
little water break.
so that's Coyote and Crow. Please do hydrate. Um, let's see. So I have one, two, three, four. I have 5 questions left, and we've been live
Cool.
for 54 minutes. I've been talking that whole time, but I want to check in with you and see how
Yeah.
are your spoons, how's your attention, your needs, your schedule.
Yeah, I'm good. I got nothing else planned for the day.
Okay, cool. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to honor your time, and you said you wanted
Yeah.
to do 1 hour, so just
Yeah.
checking
No, I'm
in.
having fun.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's good to hear. Um, so what is it like deconstructing gender in the Latinx community or
Yeah.
communities, plural?
Yeah. Um, I think with my experience, it's mostly just been, I would say, reintroducing language to these communities because in our history, there's always been a lot of like queer culture, like all the way back to pre-colonization. There's evident queer culture. So, um, being that colonization happened, that language has been lost. So, having those conversations and just like introducing, um, just like terms like two spirit, even
Mm-hmm.
to like the Latinx community, has been kind of my main experience, especially with my family on both sides, because they've all been very Americanized. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a lot of them um, aren't very forward with doing their own research. So whenever I have the chance to, I bring up the topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, like in Spanish, um, everything is gendered male or female. So
Yeah. That's a whole other
that's
thing.
a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And that's like something that I've never really, well, I used to really try to learn Spanish to the point where I could be fluent in it, but just now being where I'm at, I don't care for it too much because it is
Mm-hmm.
the colonizer's language.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so backwards to see that like people my age or even just like elders like a generation or two up from me have so much criticism for people that aren't fluent in Spanish. It's very backwards to see, but you can understand why they are that way. Um, so just having those conversations too about just like remembering like um the indigenous languages and like how much of like fluid culture we had before colonization and gendered traditions, quote unquote traditions. Yeah.
So is there anything, or what, rather, I'll ask an open-ended version of the question.
Yeah.
What surprises you the most about being gender wonderful in Latinx communities?
It's almost sad to say, but having to like seeing acceptance for being not cis is really is a surprise, but it's like the best kind of surprise. Um, because like even like just like the simple like just like coming out is hard. So um finding people in the Latinx community that are very open and welcoming um for like transgender and non-binary and two-spirit people. Um it's a surprise, but it's the best kind of surprise, and I hope it becomes less of a surprise and just more of a norm. Yeah.
I find myself wondering about like quinceañeras, and if trans women ever get quinceañeras later,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
if
that's
there's a
always been,
masculine version of a quinceañera. I don't.
yeah,
Is there a quinceañero? I don't know.
that's actually funny you mentioned that because from my experience, quinceañeras are for anybody and everybody. In my in kind of just like my area of the city when we were teenagers, I remember um there was um there was this boy from a different school that um he lived in Minneapolis and he had a quinceañera. Um and he called it a quinceañera. He didn't really like change the language or anything. He did all the same traditions. Um and I think he even wore like a dress too for like the ceremony part. But then he also did have like a suit too, to change out of if he wanted to. But that was really nice to see. It was really cute. It was a really cute quinceañera. Um, and um, and then like even trying to, there was another quinceañera that I went to that it wasn't like um a cis girl. I don't remember at the time. But yeah, I've been like really surprised with those kind of experiences. Um, because when I was growing up, I thought that quinceañeras were only for um, little girls because like um, I mean that's all I knew. I have five sisters and we were all planned to have quinceañeras, so we didn't even think that like anybody else could have quinceañeras, but I found out that's not true.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's at least two things I've learned today.
Yeah.
Probably I've learned more, and I already forgot because ADHD.
It's fine. It'll come back to you after we were live.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, so um, another question I had for you is, what are thoughts on egg hatching? Which, for those in the chat who maybe don't know what that means, it's realizing you're not cisgender, or you're not the gender you were assigned at birth, as an Indigenous person.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I like because if I didn't really identify as Indigenous when I realized I wasn't cis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but even still, I was like a person of color and like part of a marginalized community. So in that aspect, I think I like once I started questioning my gender and stuff, I like also knew that um there would probably be more pushback from like my communities and stuff. Um, if I decided to openly represent um, that part of myself, um, just because of the whole colonization thing, you know. Um, and um, with my experience so far, like as a kid, I think whenever like even I would like dabble with like boys' clothes, um, I would get like pushed down so hard for even wanting to do that, you know. I'd be called like a tomboy and that like I was like teased for wanting to look like a boy. Um, so I think that's like a really like evident experience or just like even like a recurrent experience with like a lot of if not indigenous, like a lot of BIPOC kids. I feel like that's like a really big um part of our realizations when we're doing those questions.
Can you share with us a moment of gender euphoria?
Oh yeah, this is like my favorite answer that I wrote down to remember. It's one of my anecdotal stories.
I love
All
that.
right. So I made like a short TikTok about this story a while ago. But when I was a kid, I was put into dance classes. So there was a point where I was in two different academies. One of them I was taking jazz, tap, and ballet, and then the other academy I was just doing Mexican folkloric dancing. Um, so with my ballet experience, I ended up auditioning for this um, Russian production for the Nutcracker when I was like 8, I want to say. It was me and my 3 sisters that um, all went into it. We all got in, obviously. But um, that experience was like mostly negative for me because I experienced like a lot of like fat phobia and um, just like bullying from like white Russian women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so at the end of it, when it was like the time to perform at where did we perform? It was like it wasn't a sports place. It was like an actual like um theater. So it was like a really big deal. And I remember when we got our costumes or we were getting assigned to our costumes, our roles were just like all of the roles in the class that I was in, we were just like party goers for the Nutcracker. So we were just like background characters. So like
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have like names and like specific roles or anything. We were just like categorized as boy dancers or girl dancers. Um, mind you, there was like 2 boy dancers in like the entire production.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was casted as one of the boys.
Nice.
So
I love that.
so I got this cute little green sparkly suit. It had matching tuxedo coat and like floofy dress pants. And I think I had like a little green bow tie too. Um, for most of that time, like I don't even think like I took it in an offensive way. Like in my head, I was just like, oh my God, I look like a boy. Like, you guys think I look like a boy? Can I look like a boy if I put this on? Um, so I was like wearing that costume like way more than I should have. I was just like, I was just wearing it.
I
Like I
love
was,
that.
yeah, yeah. It was really, yeah. And like they had to like slick my hair back and like I had like a tight bun so like it looked like I had short hair and stuff. So um that was definitely one of my first moments of gender euphoria that I remember. Um and it's one of my fondest memories because it's just such an innocent little story. Like that was like something that I didn't really think would be a big deal to me like today. I just thought it was like so like great that like people thought I could pull off being a boy and like I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, yeah, I look like a boy.
That's so wonderful. That
Yeah.
that actually reminds me of a similar story that I have. I was in
Yeah.
college and I was in this like dance crew, like
Nice.
as a club for extracurricular activities.
Nice.
And I was in a tango dance, and I was one of
Nice.
the people that was put on the lead or the masculine side of the tango
Yeah.
pile of
Yeah.
folks. Um,
Nice.
and I remember it being so great that I was the lead, and I also remember my dance partner had terrible breath. So the 2 things I remember about that. If I dug really hard, I could probably find
Yeah.
a video of that somewhere, but it's pretty funny. It's interesting how folks sort of pick up on that, like, just carrying the multitude of genders with us
Yeah.
as we move
It's really
through
the little
life.
thing.
I love that. It's kind of magical being
Yeah.
a gender wonderful being. It's like,
Mhm.
so I had my anniversary dinner with my wife yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's our first wedding anniversary, October 10th.
So cute.
And and we went to a fancy restaurant, and the women's restroom was totally destroyed. Like,
Oh no.
I don't know what happened. Probably, I don't know if everyone went to church and then went to this nice restaurant, or if
Yeah.
everyone's birthday happened at the same time, or what. But like,
Oof.
all of the paper products were totally gone of
Oh my
all the
gosh.
places, and I was like, This is a lot. And I told the folks, and then half an hour later, still destroyed. They hadn't addressed it yet. And I was just like, wow, this is a lot. So I walked into the men's room because I was like, well, I'm all the genders,
Yeah.
so whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't even matter.
If I don't talk, they may not even pick up on it because I was dressed pretty
Yeah.
masculine. I had like a tie and a little suit and my
Yeah.
little brown shoes on and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and I walked in the men's room and all the paper products were there, and I was like, go figure. But there's like all these secret rules that I don't understand about the men's room.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't talk, don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to deal with picking which urinal to use, but like there was a guy at the urinal right next to the door for the bathroom, and so it's like, or the like toilet stall, and so I was trying to get in the toilet stall and he was standing there and I felt like the hair on the back of his neck go up when I walked behind him, and I was like, we're not supposed to talk, I don't know what to tell you, like, this is the women's room, I'd say excuse me, but we don't talk here, I guess, I don't know what to do, this is so weird. Anyways, I got in there and I was trying to use the toilet, and like someone was like started like tried the door when I was in there.
Oh, no.
Like didn't knock, didn't say hey is anybody in there, just tried the door. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And anyways, I was too shy to sort myself out because it was way too weird in there. But all the paper products were there, and so I washed my hands and got out of there. And then my wife and I proceeded to have a 10-minute conversation about it because she's a trans woman, so she's like been there, done that. And we were like texting about, she was like, let me know if I need to come in there and taekwondo someone. And I was just like, oh, babe.
That's so cute.
So, anyways, yes, 10 out of 10 would marry again. Brackish is asking if I'd marry my wife again. I would in a heartbeat. It's a great anniversary.
Yeah.
Anyway. It was an experience. It was interesting, you know? Like,
new gender experience.
So strange.
Yeah.
So strange. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I always thought about, too, because, like, you know, when I go to the malls and stuff, like, the women's bathroom line is usually long as hell, and I don't want to wait for it. But then, like, I also don't want to walk into the men's bathroom by myself because I'm, like, 5 feet tall and like 100-some pounds. So
yeah,
I'm a very kidnappable person.
I hear that. I hear that. And my wife passes as female, so she's not coming to the bathroom with me. Like, we go to the women's room, we get to go together, which is nice, but anyway. So I've decided that since I have all the genders, I can go to all the bathrooms until they decide to make one bathroom for all, which is actually the best plan.
Yes. Yeah. And I like seeing that actually happen. Like, it's slowly happening. Like, I see it happening a lot more in schools now, which is really nice. I wish I would have had something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Trans Capybara has solved it. What you need is, like, bathrooms with floor-to-ceiling doors and just only stalls, no urinals.
No.
One giant bathroom with shared sinks for everybody. Done.
Yes. Yep.
One bathroom.
Could be so simple.
Just don't put a gender on it. All the genders can use this bathroom.
Yeah,
because everyone's watching everyone. So, like,
yeah, it's like
you're
the
not
old
going to
book
get into
says,
mischief.
everybody poops.
Everybody poops.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that I've had my say about bathrooms, thanks for letting me get on my little podium about bathrooms for a minute. What would you like to make sure folks know about your perspective on gender and non-binary or trans issues?
I think, I feel like the theme for all of my points today was to talk to your elders, and I'm going to say it again. Connect and respect the elders of all of your communities. That includes trans and non-binary and LGBTQ plus elders, because they are the blueprint, and they still lead a lot of movements today, and they're still here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's my main thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
At our wedding a year and a day ago.
Yeah.
We invoked the queer ancestors.
Yes.
As part of our ritual that we designed.
I love that.
And my son, who hates being on camera, recorded the whole ritual. So if anyone wants to see like a very queer, trans, witchy wedding ritual in a field surrounded by trees and crows,
I thought that was so beautiful. Yeah,
it was 33 minutes, the whole thing, and it's on my YouTube channel. So there's the link to the YouTube channel right there.
Yeah.
It was great. The other thing that I will share, a resource for trans elders specifically, is this book. The font might be reversed, I don't know. To Survive on the Shore by Jess T. Dugan and Vanessa Fabre. It's actually a channel point redemption. If someone, I don't remember how many channel points, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's my special number with my spouse.
Nice.
But if someone redeems channel points, then we actually will read an entry from the book on stream.
Nice.
But it's a nice hardcover. It's got full color pictures inside. You've got like one page that's the picture and one page that's the story from the person transcribed into the book, and it's a wonderful way to connect with elders. And many of them are still alive today. One of them and I became Twitter friends. That was fun. So it's
that's so cool.
Yeah, I totally agree on the importance and joy and delight of connecting with trans elders and getting that blueprint.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Well, this has been a total blast. Thank you so much for showing up and being awesome in our general direction today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So we have your link tree to share with everyone. Let's see. Let me fix that. So if we look at your link tree, you want to tell us about some of the things that are on there? Because I know it's more than just your social medias.
Yeah. So in theme of today, Indigenous People Day, there are a couple links in that link tree that will send you to the Stop Line 3 website. There's still petitions and donations to contribute to. And then for a more local issue here in Minnesota, in my neighborhood specifically, actually across the street from my house, the city is trying to go forward with a plan to build another public works factory in our neighborhood that is already experiencing the highest amount of air pollution in Minneapolis. And this factory would only increase that. So there's links to information on that. And then there's also an auto-filled email that you can send out to city officials to spread the word about it and really push for them to sign off on this alternative plan that was created by a local organization to instead build an affordable housing and Greenworks, I think they called it. They want to include like an indoor garden and stuff too, and a community garden. So they're really close to getting approved for that. So if you guys could take like 5 minutes to like send an email, that would be really great.
So awesome. And
but then other than my socials,
and your Venmo and Ko-fi are there.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this, go throw money at our wonderful guest, everyone.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate it.
help them get a new phone and pay the cute animals. Tell us about the hedgehog again.
Yeah, her name's Basil. She's sleeping right now. She's a little over a year old. I've had her for a year. I think I got her when she just turned about 1. But yeah, she's a cute little potato. She comes out at night at around like 10 p.m. for dinner. So then I get a couple hours of playtime with her before I go to bed. And then she's up until like 4 in the morning running on her wheel. But yeah, she's a cutie pie. I'm really glad I was able to get her because she came from a not so great home. Yeah, she's actually my second hedgehog. I had my first hedgehog when I was, I think, 15. Yes, spiky potato.
So cute. Well, so fun. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is really fun. I like this a lot more than the panels I've done. It's a lot more chill.
We do try to be chill around here.
Yeah.
It's true.
Appreciate it.
I am trying to look for a raid target for us. I'm struggling a little bit. Maybe I should just do that. Here we go. Now we have 5 options. Well, I will say thank you so much for being my guest today, for being here. You're a streamer, but you're not streaming today. When is your next stream? When can we come say hi?
Um, I will be streaming Wednesday, and then I'm also doing a charity stream Friday night for Ghouls for Charity. We're raising money for the Transgender Legal Defense and Education Fund. We're currently at $2,000 last time I checked. So if you guys want to tune into that, there's going to be somebody streaming before I am, but we are streaming every weekend of October. So if you don't catch me, there's going to be other streamers this weekend as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
For some reason, all these channels are offline. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, and I'm gonna find someone for us to go say hi to.
Yeah.
Friends, Mori on Twitch, and all of your different socials are in your link tree. And if Mori, if you wanted to hang out for a minute after the raid, I'd love to just check out and make sure we clean up and get all the links in the show notes and things.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you.
Yeah, this is fun.
So everyone, I switched to my just chatting screen while I awkwardly poke buttons. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Okay. So I have tried to find a streamer using the Indigenous tag who's live with peer-to-peer.live, and it's failed a couple times. But I'll tell you what, we're going to go say hi to Brooklyn Michelle, who has been on the show, is Indigenous, is down in, it's either Australia or New Zealand, I forget which, but is close by. Not close by, the opposite of close by. Yonder. Sorry. I need my pain meds. But yeah, Brooklyn Michelle is a trans streamer who is super awesome and right now is playing. Oh, I gotta make sure I spell this right. Brooklyn underscore is playing Genshin Impact right now. So it has English, ADHD, pansexual, indigenous, invisible, disability, and transgender as the tags for now. Uses she, her, goddess pronouns, which is always fun. We will be back for the next 3 days with video games here on the channel, non-binary, comfy, cozy, fun times. And yeah, I think we'll see what games end up playing. I may do the ones on my schedule, but I think the Skyward Sword with my recovery may not happen. I might have to do a substitute game. I'm sure people would be fine if I played Stardew Valley instead. it's a good one. Or we could do Breath of the Wild, which is another Zelda game. We have the DLC that we haven't played through on that save. So we've got some options. I'll think about it. Thanks everyone for showing up, and I look forward to seeing you later this week. Bye.